Thank you very much. I'm so happy to attend this conference today, to attend this seminar by the Moscow School. I've been always very keen to take part, and Lena Nemirovsky invited me so many times to attend the seminars, but I only sent our regards with my delegates that would come back absolutely elated about what the Moscow School do in Golitsino, and that came several years in a row. But later I had this episode that Lena Nemirovska referred to while I was in jail behind the bars. I really felt the support of this network of the schools, and I would like to thank Lena and all the directors who, what they did in Strasbourg in their respective countries, would like to draw public attention. And that was really important to mobilize some European institutions, which in point of fact were the ones who were supposed to put an end to it immediately. So I really feel that I heard the voice of Lena Nemirovska even when I was in prison. I received telephone calls, and I have video conferences where school directors would speak up with the words of solidarity, so we were always in touch. I would like to, in my opening remarks, in my opening presentation, not to speak so much about my personal gene experience, but rather to see how we were conquering in the European Court and how we ensured the rule of law. Not really. I'm still waiting to be really acquitted, but the Committee of Ministers of the Council of Europe took the decision that I and several other people should be fully acquitted by the Supreme Court of Azerbaijan. May I share with you how this works? I mean, from the legal perspective, how this is achieved in legal practice. Because if you look at it broadly, the democratic movement and the civic movement in the post-Soviet countries, in the post-Soviet space, is something that we have very few success stories. So many appraisals, so many reasons to be unhappy, and they're replicated and echoed, but very few success stories. Someone would probably beg to differ with me, but also wanted that Russia is also, with Navalny movement, that this worked in many ways to create the first success story about the well-thought of a quite considerate attitude to what has to be done at election. I'm really not really here in line with what Khodorkovsky said, who really condemned the smart voting initiative put forward by Alexei Navalny. I suppose we need success stories, and we were lucky to have it when we went to the European Court. We achieved an unprecedented ruling by the court. For the first time, Article 46 was invoked, Part 4 of the European Convention on Human Rights. What is that about? We should probably start with 2013, where I was arrested. In February 2013, I was arrested and accused of organizing public riot in one of small towns in Azerbaijan, somewhere in remote areas. When somebody is arrested, he first has to... There are some procedures that need to be performed. Surely we have lawyers in this audience, so I apologize to them for sharing these commonplace things, but since our audience is mixed and not necessarily everyone present here is a lawyer, but these procedures have to be fully performed and complied to. There is Article 5 of this convention, European Convention of Human Rights, that says that no one can be, without any suspicion or any reasonable reasons, arrested or apprehended if the court rules that somebody gives a warrant for arrest. The prosecutor's office has to produce some kind of, it's not really preliminary evidence, but maybe some witness accounts or some indirect maybe, but reasonable documents or attestations that say that maybe this person, as they say, has committed a crime. And they have to also to support their words. So if this person is left free, this may negatively influence the investigation. That is Article 5. When I was arrested, this article was completely disregarded. What the court had, it just had this prosecutors appealed that I need to be arrested, and this arrest was continued and extended for another 2 or 3 months until I had the court hearing. There is another article that can be invoked. At the same time, the prosecutor's office and the Ministry of the Interior came up with a statement, accusing me of commuting a statement. So, benefit of the doubt, Article 6. I'm referring to them because it is based upon these that we won the European Court. And most importantly, Article 18. What it's all about. If you are arrested, if you're no longer free, then you can only be arrested for things that are worded in your accusation. No other intentions or whatever. The government should not have it when somebody is arrested. We could prove in the court, in the European Court, that when I was arrested, in point of fact, procedures were disregarded, not because they were unaware of it. No, because they had this kind thought to jail Ilgar 8 months before presidential election. So it happened 8 months, and I announced that I will run for presidency as a candidate. We proved that in the European Court back in May 2014. So it is, and we won in the European Court. That was the 5th case all in all. Actually, in this, since this convention was approved, in many decades where they really said that Article 18 was violated. Tymoshenko, Lutsenko were Ukrainian comrades who were Gusinsky, as I suppose he was the first, and someone from Moldova. That is all about Moldova. That was case number 5. In all other cases, these people and their rights were soon secured, although they were previously violated, as was found by the European Court. In my way, the government stood firm in its position. It showed this kind of insistent deny. It would deny insistently that they should really refuse to do what the European Court ruled, because in March 14 they gave me a 7-year sentence. So one thing is when you are arrested, and the other thing is when you are sentenced. They were saying that you are arrested, this is what the government, yes, they have confirmed, we understand, but it has to do to arrest alone and and detention before court hearing, which is nonsense. And I must show to you how the European courts work in their sense. The decision of the European courts are declarative. It's not really our courts, really, like, it doesn't work the way our courts work. When they rule, this decision comes into effect immediately. Whereas European Court has declarative decision, where they declare some rights have been violated. And then the Committee of Ministers, made up of 47 representatives, rather ambassadors sitting in Strasbourg, they vote and have an open discussion where they decide upon the measures that need to be taken by the government to make sure that this declarative ruling of the court should come into effect. This is not a court in the way we usually perceive it. And Azerbaijan refused to honor this ruling of the. It refused to take it. Then what followed was a 3-year-long war, or would put it this way, or procrastination, as the word is in English. Yes, indeed. Procrastination, or there's endless hearings in because if you do not honor, the country should be punished. But who can punish Azerbaijan? Well, you recently saw how very serious problems that were caused by this exclusion. It's not really exclusion when Russia was denied the right to vote in Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe. So if this commitment is there, and it is laid down in Article 46 of European conditions, so this 3-year red tape or foot dragging ended in the Council of Ministers that we tried to put the pressure on, and I too, because I wrote very angry letters to them that I thought they were lacking moral principles. Then there was this really quite a lot of public pressure put by the schools, whom I wish to support, I don't know, from California to Vladivostok. In this space, there were public actions, activism, petitions were sent, European parliamentary race would also come on board. Azerbaijan refused to honor. So the Committee of Ministers in December 2017, finally, at last, decided they would go to court against Azerbaijan for not honoring the ruling, their decision. So it says that if the country refuses to honor, to execute, then the Committee of Ministry has to take the vote by 2/3 majority, may send the case back to be reviewed by the big chamber of the European Court that would really decide whether there were violations or not. That was truly unprecedented. For the first time, Article 46 was never invoked. So a very difficult situation in Azerbaijan emerged, with the top level, where the president of France, that really listened to, used to serve as an ambassador, he really appealed to the president of Azerbaijan, saying it cannot go any longer, you cannot disregard the Grand Chamber ruling, and it has to be now the two presidents. I suppose two more presidents, more than two, would be involved. So in August 2018, I was set free. First, it was on but in May, where are we now? Yes, we are on the 29th of September. But it was not really 6 months ago. It was 29th of May. Because where the Grand Chamber took the ruling, because I was first released on probation, which said that indeed Azerbaijan is violating indeed the European Convention of Human Rights. It was not done at the level of the Council of Ministers, no. It was now, when the case was returned to the Grand Chamber, they were really taking this. It was unprecedented, and it was we can hardly expect that it would be done again, because it is very difficult to achieve 2/3 vote. Can give you an example, but I cannot confirm. I know some sources that countries voted against in the Council of Ministers, against referring the case to the Grand Chamber. I know these countries. Russia? No, that was not. 8 countries, Azerbaijan and Turkey, voted in contra. The others abstained, which is tantamount to countering. Russia, Georgia, Ukraine, Moldova, Serbia, and some other Western European country, but I'm not sure if it did, so I don't want to make these claims. So the sources are reliable because these sittings are behind the closed doors. So there's some leaks. So all our former Soviet countries plus Turkey and Serbia, so they voted in contra, although actually he claimed it is abstained. But I have to, since I'm in the Moscow school, I must say that the Russian judge, Dmitry Dzedov, back in 2014 and in 2019, he was, because this decision is taken unanimously, he voted with those who took these unanimous. Sorry, I'm behind over my time, so we'll stop at that with my presentation. But there are many aspects of this case. You understand why I think it matters for this audience, at least because the names of very many politicians in Russia today, they still have court cases pending. They're referring and citing, they're citing very actively my case in the European Court. There's court ruling on Navalny. On others, they very actively and often refer to this case, and it now serves as a precedent. And I suppose it's very good for civic activism and others.